Good day. In this video we're going to show you how to work out the domain and range of a graph. I'm going to show you two different ways of writing the same answer each time. The domain is the x values that is used in that graph, and the range is the y values that is used in that graph. Here we have two graphs. This one is called f and this one is called g. First going to work out the domain of each. Firstly, you draw a vertical line like this red one through your graph. You move it left and right to see where it cuts your graph. So if you move it to this side, you'll see it starts touching at 2,5, keeps touching on the way left, touch where x is 0, x is minus 1, and when it gets to x is minus 2, it doesn't touch anymore and it misses the graph. So you can write it like this: x is bigger than minus 2 and x is smaller and equal to 2,5. X is an element of real numbers. Also write your domain as x is an element of from minus 2 up to 2,5, including 2,5, excluding minus 2. Don't write the answer twice. Choose the one that suits you and write it that way. Let's find the domain of the G graph. Draw a vertical line through it and look for what x values it will cut this graph. If you move it right, you'll see it starts touching just on the side of north, keeps touching the graph all the way up to 3, including the 3. Now it misses the graph. So from 3, left, 2, and so on, 1, 0, minus 1, minus 2. At minus 3, it misses the graph. There's a circle there, and now it totally misses the graph. So in set builder notation, your answer would look like this: x is bigger than minus 3, not including, and x is smaller and equal to 3. X is an element of real numbers. Also write it in interval notation: x is an element of, not including minus 3, all the way up to 3, including 3. Now to find the range of this graph f, you draw a horizontal line through it like this blue one, and you move it up and down to see where it touches the graph. It misses the graph, misses the graph, starts touching it, touches the graph all the way up here up to 3. So it's excluding the 1, everything in between up to the 3, including the 3. So your range of f is y is bigger than 1, not including 1, and y is smaller and equal to 3. You can write it in interval notation: y is an element of, excluding 1, everything up until 3, including 3. Let's do the range of g. We draw our horizontal line through the graph. Then you move it up and down to see where it cuts the graph for what y values. Here where y is 0, it cuts. It doesn't cut on the one side. There is a circle, but it does cut on the other side. And if you move it down, you'll see it cuts at minus 1, minus 2, up to minus 3. Now it misses the graph. So it starts cutting the graph at minus 3 and everything above that until where y is 0. You can write it on one of these two methods: y is bigger and equal to minus 3, y is smaller and equal to 0, or in interval notation like this. Stop the video and just understand the domain and range of these two graphs. Here we have two more graphs. Here we have a line running around the center of the Cartesian plane, and here we have loose dots on the Cartesian plane. To find the domain of h, we draw a vertical line through the graph, move it left and right. If we move it to this side, it starts cutting the graph at 2. On the left hand side of 2, it cuts the graph everywhere, past north, past minus 1, up to minus 2. It still cuts the graph. So our domain will be one of these two ways of writing it: x is bigger and equal to minus 2, x is smaller and equal to 2, x is an element of real numbers, or in interval notation like this. If we want to do the domain of the graph S on this side, there's only loose dots. So we move the line until we get onto those dots. You'll cut the graph where x is 1, x is 0, x is minus 1, and x is minus 2. There's only one way to write it, and that is this way: x is an element of minus 2, minus 1, 0, and 1. Now to find the range of this graph, we draw a horizontal line through it, see where it cuts the graph. So the blue line will cut the graph from 2, 1, everything in between, north, minus 1, up to minus 2, including minus 2. Your range will be written like this: y is bigger and equal to minus 2, smaller and equal to 2, y is an element of r, or like this. To determine the range of S, we will move this blue line up and see where it touches those dots. it'll touch where y is 1, y is 2, and y is 3. You write your answer like this: y is an element of 1, 2, and 3. Please stop the video and check these answers. Now let's do some actual graphs that you will run into. We have to determine the domain and range. This is a parabola called T, and this is a trig graph called D. Let's do the domain first. To find the domain of T, we draw a vertical line through it, move it left and right to see where it cuts the graph. Before we start, please remember that if you draw a parabola, it actually goes out in this direction forever and goes down forever. And on this side, it's going in this direction forever and down forever. It doesn't look like it here, but it is really going out like that. So x is minus 3 will work, minus 4, minus 5, up to minus 8, minus 9, minus 10, and so on. And it'll still cut the graph on this side at 0, and then 1, 2, 3, and so on forever. So your domain is x is an element of real numbers, all the numbers in the world. Or you may write it like this: x is an element from minus infinity up to infinity. Let's do the domain of this graph. Draw a vertical line through here and move it left and right. It cuts a graph where x is 0 and left of that. So at anything left up to minus 90, past minus 90 up to minus 180. But at minus 180 there is a circle, so it will not touch over there. Take it to the other side in all the positive numbers, positive 90 up to positive 180 included, because there's a black dot. So domain of this D graph is x is bigger than minus 180 and smaller than equal to 180, or in interval notation like this. Like we said, if you want a range, you draw a horizontal line like the blue one through the graph and see where it cuts the graph. For what y values? If you move it up, you'll see it touches as from 10, it starts cutting the graph at 10 and under 10 until minus infinity forever. Your final answer is y is smaller than equal to 10, y is an element of real numbers, or you can write it in interval notation like this. Please stop the video and get your brain around the domain and range of this parabola. If you want the range of the D graph, you draw a horizontal line through it and see for what y values it cuts the graph. And you'll see y is all the numbers from minus 1 up until 1, including anything in between minus 1 and 1. So your range will be y is bigger than equal to minus 1 and y is smaller than equal to 1. Please stop the video and look at these two sets of answers. Right, here's two more. So we have a straight line graph over here and a hyperbola over here with two asymptotes. Firstly, let's do the domain of E. We draw a vertical line through it and see where this line, for what x values, it cuts the graph. If you move it left, it'll keep touching forever. And if you move it right, it'll keep touching forever. The answer will be x is an element of real numbers, or differently written, x is an element from minus infinity up to infinity. Please remember this graph is going down forever and to this side forever. It's going up forever and to the left-hand side forever. If you want to do the domain of the H graph, you draw a vertical line and see where it cuts this graph. If you move this line to the right until you get to the asymptote, at the asymptote it won't touch the top or the bottom part of the graph, so that's excluded. But if you move it right, it'll touch the graph on the right hand side everywhere until infinity. Not here where x is 2, touch again and cuts it all the way to infinity on this side. The two ways of writing it is x is an element of real numbers, x is not allowed to be 2, or you can write it in interval notation like this: from minus infinity up to 2 excluding 2, or from 2 excluding 2 up to infinity. Please stop the video and decide which one is going to suit you best. Now let's do the range of the graph of E. We draw a horizontal line through it and move it up and down. Where y is 0, it cuts the graph, and all the way up until infinity. You go down, minus 1, minus 8, down, down, down until minus infinity. So the range of E is y is an element of real numbers, or you can write it y is an element from minus infinity to infinity. Do be careful, when we do the domain, most kids want to use that minus 4. It's just there to confuse you. If they want to do the range, they think this is minus 8 is a y value. It must be in the answer here. No, it's just there to confuse you. So this is the answer of the domain and range of this straight line E. Let's do the range of this hyperbola. To do the range, we draw a horizontal line through the graph and see where this blue line will cut the graph. Where it is now, it will not cut the graph because it's y equals to 1. And there's an asymptote there. We're not allowed to touch the asymptote. We move it up. Everywhere above this 1, it touches until infinity. Not at x is 1. Just under x is 1, it starts cutting the graph again, all the way down to minus infinity. The two ways of answering it: y is an element of real numbers, y is not allowed to be 1, or like this, y is from minus infinity up to 1 excluding the 1, or excluding the 1 up to infinity. Stop the video and decide which one suits you best. Lastly, let's do the domain and range of this exponential graph. Start with the domain first. We draw a vertical line through the graph and we move it left and right. You see it touches where x is 0, x is minus 1, x is minus 2, x is minus infinity. This direction, x is 1, x is 2, up to x is infinity. Two ways of writing it: x is an element of real numbers, just like that, or x an element from minus infinity up to infinity. Now to find the range, we draw a horizontal line through the graph to see what y values are used by the graph. At minus 3 there is an asymptote, so minus 3 is not used, but all the y values above minus 3 will be included in the range, because all the y values above minus 3, the blue line will cut the graph all the way up to infinity. So our range will be y is bigger than minus 3, y is an element of real numbers, or you can write it differently, y is an element from minus 3 to infinity, excluding minus 3. Please stop the video and make sure you understand the domain and range of this exponential graph. Please indicate whether you liked or disliked the video and subscribe to the channel. If you run into any domain or range problem that you can't solve, please send a clear WhatsApp picture of your problem to this number, a clear WhatsApp picture of where you tried it. Then we'll try and help you and send back an answer as soon as possible.